The air on the barren world of Narath 9 was heavy with static, and the ground trembled every few seconds as thunder rolled across the endless plains. The sky was painted with strange purple lightning that twisted like living veins, crawling across thick clouds. The storm was coming again, stronger than before. Commander Elias Ward stood at the edge of the research dome watching the horizon. The wind howled against the metal shell, rattling panels that were never meant to face storms like this. He could see flashes in the distance, flashes that looked less like lightning and more like the universe itself tearing apart. Behind him, a soft voice broke the silence. "Elias, please stop. You can't go out there." It was Dr. Mira Hahn, chief scientist of the expedition and the only person who had known Elias long enough to see the fear hiding behind his calm eyes. Her hands trembled as she held a tablet full of sensor data. The readings made no sense. Energy spikes beyond any natural measure, radiation bursts that defied physics. He didn't turn around. "If that storm reaches us, the dome won't hold. Someone needs to reach the relay tower and realign the field stabilizers." Mira's eyes widened. "You'll die out there." The last drone melted before it even crossed half the distance. Elias finally faced her. His face was lined from years of command, and his eyes, a deep, calm gray, showed no hesitation. "Then I'll make sure I move faster than the drone." She shook her head. "You don't have to prove anything, Elias. We can wait for the next cycle. Maybe the storm will shift direction." He looked at her for a long time. There was care in his gaze and sorrow. "We both know it won't. The storm is moving straight toward us. If I don't fix the relay, this dome will tear apart and every one of us will be gone before sunrise." Mira bit her lip, stepping closer. "Then I'll go with you." Elias smiled softly, the kind of smile meant to comfort someone who didn't need to see how afraid he truly was. "No, you're needed here. You're the only one who can keep the others calm." A loud crash of thunder shook the dome. The lights flickered and everyone in the command room froze. The storm was now only 30 kilometers away and closing fast. He turned to leave, grabbing his environmental suit from the rack. The silver surface shimmered faintly under the emergency lights. Mira followed him to the airlock, her eyes filled with silent fear. "Elias," she whispered again, voice almost lost in the wind. "Please stop." He paused for a heartbeat, long enough to hear her plea, long enough to feel the weight of her fear, then stepped into the airlock and sealed the door. Outside, the world was chaos. The sky was no longer just purple and gray. It was alive. Flashes of light twisted into spirals and bolts of plasma struck the surface, carving glassy scars across the rocks. The wind screamed so loudly that even inside the suit the sound was deafening. Elias began his walk toward the relay tower, 2 kilometers away. Each step sank slightly into the soft sand, which vibrated as if the planet's heartbeat was racing. He spoke into his comms. "Control, this is Ward, I'm moving. Visibility near 0, but I can track the tower beacon." Mira's voice came through, faint but steady. "Copy that, Commander. Your vitals are stable for now. The storm front will reach your position in 6 minutes. Then I'll make it in 5. He pressed forward. Every second, lightning struck around him. Not random, but almost as if the storm could see him. He had read reports that the electromagnetic waves behaved strangely near human technology. But now it felt personal. Inside the dome, Mira watched his life signals flicker on the screen. Each pulse of lightning made her heart skip. The crew stood in silence behind her, no one daring to speak. One of the younger engineers whispered, "Why doesn't he wait? Why risk it?" Mira didn't look away from the screen. Her voice was quiet but strong. "Because that's what humans do. We face storms when everyone else hides." Outside, Elias was halfway there. The relay tower loomed in the distance, tall, skeletal, and barely standing. Its top beacon flickered weakly, trying to resist the storm's fury. Suddenly, a blinding flash struck nearby. The ground erupted, throwing him backward. His visor cracked slightly and his oxygen levels dropped. He gasped. "Control. I'm hit. Suit integrity 64%. But I'm still moving. Elias." Mira's voice broke through static. "You need to fall back now. The radiation levels are off the scale." He coughed, but his tone stayed firm. "Not yet. I'm too close." He pushed himself up, pain shooting through his leg. The path was uneven now. Chunks of molten glass scattered everywhere. Each step burned through his boots, but he didn't stop. The beacon grew brighter. He could almost touch it when the storm finally arrived. The wind turned violent, tearing at his suit. Energy danced across the ground, wrapping around his legs like fire. He could feel the static through the insulation. The relay tower swayed dangerously. "Control, I have visual on the main stabilizer," he said through gritted teeth. "I'm going to reset the core manually. Elias, please." Mira's voice trembled. "You don't have to be a hero." He closed his eyes for a second. Her words hurt more than the storm. He wanted to go back to promise her that he would stop. But the faces of the crew flashed in his mind, frightened, helpless, depending on him. He opened the control panel. The inside was sparking wildly. Wires burned and twisted. He pulled out the override lever, his gloves sizzling from the heat. "Elias!" "The readings are climbing. You have seconds before the surge hits." He gritted his teeth, pressing the final command key. "Then let's make those seconds count." A flash of light exploded through the storm, blinding even those watching from the dome. For a moment, everything went silent. The thunder stopped. The lightning froze in the sky. Then slowly the storm began to break apart. The thick clouds thinned, revealing patches of calm gray sky. The lightning faded. Inside the dome, the readings on the monitors dropped sharply. The radiation vanished. The wind slowed. The storm was retreating. The crew cheered. Some cried, others hugged each other in disbelief. Mira didn't move. Her eyes were locked on the screen showing Elias's vital signs. "Elias, please respond." Static, she waited. 10 seconds, 20. Then a faint voice came through, broken but alive. "Control." "Mission success." Relay stabilized, a storm dispersing. Tears welled in her eyes and she laughed softly, shaking her head. "You fool." "You really did it." Outside, Elias looked up at the fading sky. The storm was moving away, but in the distance beyond the horizon a darker shadow loomed. Something massive, something not natural, he whispered to himself. This wasn't just a storm. Was it? The comms crackled again. "Elias, come home, please." He took one last look at the horizon, then began the long walk back toward the dome, unaware that the calm he had created was only the beginning of something far greater. The silence after the storm felt strange, too calm, too quiet. For hours, the crew of Outpost Vega 7 had listened to the thunder's roar and the wind's scream. Now the air was still, and the only sound inside the dome was the hum of the machines coming back online. Dr. Mira Han stood near the main window, staring into the gray horizon. The world outside looked peaceful, almost harmless. But she knew peace rarely lasted long on Narath 9. Behind her, Commander Elias Ward sat on a medical chair, his arm bandaged and his leg wrapped in biofoam. His suit was half melted, but he was alive, barely. His skin still shimmered faintly with leftover static discharge. "You should be resting," Mira said quietly, still watching the horizon. Elias smiled weakly. "You sound like my mother." She turned to him, crossing her arms. "If your mother were here, she'd say the same thing." "You almost died out there," he shrugged. "Almost, but not quite," Mira sighed. "You risked everything." "For what? For a tower? For data?" Elias leaned forward, his tone steady. "For everyone in this dome. You know what would have happened if the storm reached full intensity? We'd be dust by now." Her eyes softened. She wanted to argue, but she couldn't. He had saved them, that much was true. Yet deep inside, something didn't feel right. She tapped her tablet, showing him a graph. "After you stabilized the relay, the storm collapsed almost instantly." "That's not normal." "No storm disappears like that," Elias frowned. "So what are you saying?" "I'm saying the storm wasn't natural. It reacted to something, maybe to you." He stared at her. "To me?" She nodded slowly. "Or to human presence. The radiation spikes matched the energy from your suit's core. When you activated the relay, it didn't just stabilize the field. It sent a pulse across the planet." Elias thought for a long moment. "A pulse that scared the storm away?" "Maybe," she said. "Or maybe it woke something up." Hours later, the crew gathered in the command room. The large holographic map of Narath 9 showed faint energy trails spreading from the relay tower, stretching beyond the known range. Lieutenant Rana, the young engineer, pointed at a blinking red line. "This pattern, it's moving under the surface, like something is traveling underground." Elias rose slowly from his seat. "How far?" 70 kilometers north, Rana said. "And it's moving fast." Mira's brow furrowed. "Could it be seismic activity?" Rana shook her head. "No, it's rhythmic, almost like a heartbeat." The room fell silent. Elias glanced at the display again. "Prepare the rover. I'm going out there." Mira's eyes widened. "No, you're not. You just came back half-burned from the last storm." "This isn't a storm," he said. "This could be the reason for it." She stepped closer. "Then let me come with you this time." He hesitated. He knew she was stubborn, more than anyone on the crew. "Fine, but we go together and we go carefully." By evening, the two rovers rolled out across the plains. The sky above them glowed with strange green streaks, remnants of the storm's energy fading into the upper atmosphere. The air was dry but charged, as if the planet itself was still holding its breath. Inside the rover, Mira adjusted the scanners. "We're getting faint life signs ahead, but they're not human." Elias kept his eyes on the terrain. "We knew this planet had microbial life. Maybe we're just picking up clusters." She shook her head. "No. These patterns are organized, repeating." They drove in silence for another hour until they reached a deep crater surrounded by black glass. The surface shimmered faintly under the headlights, and at the center, something metallic jutted out of the ground. It wasn't natural. Elias stepped out carefully, feeling the ground vibrate beneath his boots. "Looks like a structure." Mira followed, her eyes wide. "It's alien. Definitely not human design." The object was tall, a spire of dark metal covered in strange symbols that pulsed faintly, like veins glowing under skin. As Elias approached, his suit sensors went wild. "Energy readings spiking," Mira warned. "It's reacting to your presence again." Elias reached out, his hand hovering near the surface. "It feels alive." Before she could stop him, his glove brushed the metal. The ground shook violently. The glass cracked under their feet. A deep, low hum filled the air. Not sound, but vibration, something that made their hearts race and their minds ache. Elias stumbled back, clutching his head. "It's speaking." Mira grabbed his arm. "What are you talking about?" He looked at her, eyes wide with shock. "It's not just a structure. It's a beacon. It's been waiting." "Waiting for what?" He took a deep breath. "For us." Back at the outpost, the crew watched in horror as new readings filled their screens. The energy pulse from the crater was spreading faster than before, not outward but upward. Rana gasped. "It's building something in orbit, some kind of formation above the planet." Mira and Elias rushed back into the rover. "We need to return now," he ordered. But as they turned the rover around, a blinding light flashed from the crater. The vehicle was thrown sideways, rolling down a slope before crashing to a stop. Elias woke first, disoriented but alive. The windshield was shattered and the sky above glowed with strange lights, shapes forming in the clouds like enormous wings. "Mira," he shouted, crawling toward her. She groaned, sitting up slowly, blood trickling from a cut on her forehead. "I'm okay," she murmured. What's happening to the sky?" They looked up together, and what they saw made them forget the pain. Above them, floating miles high, was something colossal, a circular structure made of light and energy. It pulsed rhythmically, echoing the heartbeat pattern from before. Elias whispered, "That's no storm generator. It's a machine." Mira stared, unable to look away. "It's been here all along, buried under this planet." The comms crackled suddenly. "Commander Ward, this is Vega 7. The energy levels are destabilizing again. The storm's reforming, but it's centered on you." Elias looked at Mira. "It's following us." "Because you touched the beacon," she said. "It marked you." The ground started to shake again, stronger this time. The black glass broke apart and columns of blue energy shot upward like geysers. The massive ring in the sky began to spin. Mira grabbed her tablet, scanning frantically. "Elias, it's pulling power from the planet's core. If it continues, it'll tear Narath 9 apart." He clenched his fists. "Then we stop it. How? We can't even get close without burning alive." He turned toward the wrecked rover. "We still have the relay tools. If I can overload the beacon, maybe I can break the link." Mira shook her head in disbelief. "You'll get yourself killed." Elias smiled faintly. "You said that last time, too." Before she could argue, he grabbed the power core from the rover and ran toward the crater. The energy fields rippled around him, sparks of light cutting through the air. His suit's alarm screamed, but he didn't stop. Mira followed at a distance, shouting his name. The air shimmered with radiation, and every breath burned her throat. At the center of the crater, Elias reached the beacon, He slammed the power core into its base. The light flared and the hum grew deafening. "Come on," he muttered. "Overload!" The beacon pulsed faster, its symbols glowing red. Lightning struck the crater and the sky ring flickered violently. In the dome, Rana shouted, "Energy readings collapsing." "Whatever he's doing, it's working." Mira shielded her eyes as the ground exploded in white light. For several seconds, everything disappeared. Then silence. When the light faded, the sky ring was gone. The crater was a smoking pit of molten glass. Mira stumbled forward, coughing, calling out his name. "Elias!" No answer. Then she saw movement. A figure crawling out from the edge of the crater, his suit torn but intact. She ran to him, falling to her knees beside him. "You did it," she whispered, tears filling her eyes. He looked at her weakly. "Did we stop it?" She nodded. "For now," he smiled faintly. "Good. Because something tells me that wasn't the only one." Above them, far beyond the clouds, a faint red light blinked in the dark, as if something far away had just received a signal. The wind had died. The sky over Nareth 9 was calm, but the silence was heavier than any storm. Commander Elias Ward and Dr. Mira Hahn sat beside the crater, their bodies exhausted, their suits scorched. The air still smelled faintly of ozone and scorched metal. Mira studied the horizon through a cracked visor. "We stopped the storm," she said quietly, but her voice betrayed doubt. "For now. But whatever sent that ring, it's still out there." Elias didn't respond. He had been staring at the faint red blink in the distance, the signal that echoed across the stars. A pulse so deliberate, so intelligent, it seemed to say, "We are watching you. We need a plan," she whispered, voice shaking. "If it comes back, we can't just react. We have to be ready." Elias finally looked at her, his gray eyes cold but determined. "Then we'll give it something to watch. Something it can't ignore." Back at Outpost Vega 7, the crew worked tirelessly. The data from the beacon was unlike anything humanity had ever seen. Energy readings beyond comprehension, complex algorithms embedded in the structure itself, and a communication pattern that seemed to respond to human thought. Lieutenant Rana approached Mira holding a tablet. "We've decoded part of the signal. It's asking questions. About us, about humanity." Mira's breath caught. "Questions?" "Yes," Rana said, eyes wide. "It's probing for intelligence and testing us." Elias had joined them, leaning on a console. So it wasn't attacking. It was observing, waiting for a response. Mira shook her head. "And if we fail the test? Then it might not wait long before it decides to do something else," Elias said, his tone grim. The crew went silent. They had faced storms, radiation, and an alien machine nearly a mile high, but now the weight of choice pressed down on them. Humanity's survival might depend not on strength, but on understanding. The next day, the team prepared a signal. Using the relay tools Elias had saved, they began broadcasting a message, not of conquest or warning, but of humanity itself. Mira's voice was firm as she dictated the message. "We are explorers. We are curious. We are creators. We seek knowledge, not war. We respect life, and we honor those who came before us. If you watch us, you will see that we are not a threat, but we are capable of courage." Elias adjusted the transmitter, the faint hum of energy filling the room. "Make sure it reaches the beacon. Full strength. Let it see every detail of our work, our culture, our will." Rana hesitated. "Do you think it will understand?" Elias smiled faintly. "It already does. Otherwise, it wouldn't have let us live." As the signal began, a strange sensation filled the dome. The lights flickered in harmony with the transmission. Outside, the sky over the crater shimmered, the faint red pulse responding to their message. Mira whispered, "It's listening." Hours passed. The crew watched anxiously as the beacon's energy patterns shifted. Then something extraordinary happened. A section of the sky split apart, revealing a massive ship hovering above the planet. It was unlike any human construction, immense, sleek, and glowing with inner light. Its surface reflected the stars, making it almost invisible against the void, but it wasn't hostile. From the ship came a soft pulse of light that spread across the planet, touching the dome, the crater, and the relay tower. The pulse carried knowledge, flashes of alien history, understanding, and curiosity. It was an exchange of intelligence. Elias stepped forward, feeling the pulse vibrate through his chest. It was as if the universe itself had spoken. Mira's eyes were wide. "It's sharing information with us." "Yes," Elias said, "and it's asking us to share back." He turned to the crew. "This is humanity's moment. We're not just surviving. We're stepping onto the galactic stage. Every choice we make from now on matters, not just for us, but for everyone who comes after us." Over the next several days, the team worked tirelessly. They compiled records of human achievements, art, science, culture, and courage. They included videos of Earth, messages of peace, and a simple declaration: humanity is strong, compassionate, and worthy of existence, the alien beacon responded, guiding the humans and refining the transmission. Its energy fields intertwined with their technology, amplifying the signal across space. For the first time in history, humanity was talking to the stars, not as a primitive species, but as equals. One evening, after the transmissions had run their course, Elias and Mira stood at the crater's edge. The wind had returned, gentle and calm. The black glass reflected the sky, now filled with soft green auroras from the beacon's remaining energy. "You know," Mira said, "you almost died twice on this planet." "Twice," Elias smiled wryly. "Twice, yes. But I also proved something, that humans don't wait for safety, we act. We face storms, literal or metaphorical, and we keep going." Mira looked at him, a mixture of awe and relief in her eyes. "And now, we're known." "Not just known," Elias said softly. "Respected, observed, tested, and we passed." Humanity proved its courage. Above them in the sky, a faint red light blinked one final time before fading completely. The alien presence had departed, for now. But the message had been received and the bond had been made. Mira reached out, taking his hand. "Do you think they'll return?" Elias looked to the horizon. "They might. But if they do, humanity will be ready. We survived storms we couldn't understand, faced dangers no one else dared to face, and we lived. We can face anything." Weeks later, the team prepared to leave Narath 9. The planet had been scarred by the storms, the crater still smoking. But the beacon remained, dormant but intact. The sky was clear, the stars shining brighter than ever. Elias stood on the ramp of the shuttle, looking back one last time. "This planet tested us," he said. "It almost destroyed us. But it also reminded us why we keep going. Humanity doesn't hide. Humanity faces the storm." Mira joined him, her eyes reflecting the distant stars. "And we'll keep facing it no matter what comes next." The shuttle lifted off, engines roaring against the silent plains. Below them, Narath 9 glowed faintly, a world once terrifying, now peaceful. Somewhere above, in the depths of space, the alien observers watched, and perhaps they understood. For the first time, humanity knew it wasn't alone. And more importantly, humanity knew its strength, courage, and spirit could shine across the stars, even in the face of storms that threatened to consume everything. Elias looked at Mira, smiling softly. "You whispered, 'Please stop,' once, and I didn't, and I think it was worth it." She shook her head, laughing gently. "You're impossible, but yes, it was worth it." As the shuttle climbed into orbit, the stars stretched endlessly before them. Humanity had faced the storm, faced the unknown, and emerged stronger. And somewhere, far beyond the horizon, the universe had taken notice.